So I think all countries in the region have a really strong interest in conserving their coral reefs. A lot of the marine protected areas are focused around coral reef areas because they're very prominent, they're so valuable for fisheries, for biodiversity protection and for tourism. There's a lot of legislation, there's some protected areas. You know, there could be stronger implementation on the ground in terms of, protecting from overfishing, for example. So that's always a challenge to do, particularly because communities are so dependent on coral reefs for their livelihoods and at low income levels. So that's very important. And then in terms of the restoration of coral reefs, there are many efforts to do coral reef restoration at community levels. It's very important for engagement of communities and educating people and the public on how sensitive corals are to climate change and to pollution and to overfishing. Unfortunately, the corals are very difficult to grow, and trying to work out how to do the restoration in a way that the corals don't succumb to the next warming event or bleaching event when we have heat stress and heat waves in the ocean is very hard, to pollution as well. So there's a lot of trials around coral reef restoration, and we need, all the pressures from our coastal economies and from climate change to be relieved, to really give the coral reefs a chance. We really need to understand that almost everything we do is dependent on the environment and on the health and integrity of these habitats. So for coral reefs, it's coastal protection, it's also tourism, it's also fisheries and welfare of people. There's also potential medicines and so on. So all the contributions from nature, or all the ecosystem services, are critically important. Now, some of these we use in our economies, so things like fish, for fish catch, and for tourism recreation, people earn an income from that. So the blue economy, or the economy based on the ocean, is very important. We really have to realize that it's not just about growing the blue economy, it's about making it sustainable and making sure we're not damaging the very systems that we benefit from. And my concern is that, there's so much excitement around blue economy that we really need to make sure we're focusing on sustainable enterprises, small and medium enterprises, not just big fishing vessels and huge growth and things like that. So we need to protect the coastal ecosystems so they can sustain the blue economy. So WIOMSA, I think, plays a critical role in really building our capacity in the region to do good science, to report on it, to share it with one another, and also to reach out to the broader global community and to welcome the global community here. It came up in the sessions this morning. Apparently, it was the first WIOMSA Symposium in 1997 here in Mombasa that I was also in. Professor Hogwana mentioned it. So, this is almost 28 years ago we had our first symposium. And I think if we had not had WIOMSA here to build our careers around, I may not be in the position I'm in now in terms of coral reef science, and then also the global community and chairing IPBES, this Intergovernmental Platform. So WIOMSA is really critical as an intermediary to help build our marine sciences and the management and the knowledge we need to sustain the ocean systems.
We haven't actually flattened the curve of biodiversity loss. It's still continuing pretty much as it was in 2020, as it really ramps up and thinks about protected areas by 2030 and so on. There's another study that came out that is also very useful, which is a good study because it shows that if no conservation actions were done, things would be a lot worse than business as usual. Business as usual includes the good things that are being done as well. And this study by Langhammer et al. Showed that about half of conservation actions do achieve positive impact, so raise raise the bar and improve the state of biodiversity. 20% reduce the decline, about a third are negative in their impact. So we're somewhere around, that's red to gray to yellow curves, depending on where you are and the projects that you're doing. Actions on nature are critical, but they're not enough.
The idea is that, as we know, nature is declining, biodiversity is declining because of species going extinct and ecosystems being harmed. So so that trajectory is down. Scientists love our curves and our lines and graphs, so it's a downward curve on the graph. So we need to bend that curve so it flattens, so biodiversity stops declining and starts to improve. And there are many ways that we can deliver prosperity and well-being in the future without increasing the pressures on biodiversity. We just have to commit to it. So in my presentations in linking nature and how it supports our economic activities and society as a whole, because that's what sustainable development is about. Everything meaningful, really, most things in our economy depend on nature. We need to bend the curves of pressures from economic activities in order to then also bend the curve of nature decline so that we can come to a sustainable balance in the future.